All right, so today we're going to be diving into something pretty unique.
Hmm.
We're looking at a text that's like, it's spiritual guidance, but with this like tough military feel to it. Imagine like desert journeys and hidden wisdom, all packed into like a soldier's advice to their own soul.
It's pretty powerful imagery, right? And what's really interesting about this text is, well, it's actually part of a larger work, and it's structured as these 8 words, almost like crucial advice a seasoned soldier would give to someone just starting out. But what makes this text so unique is the way it's written. It's a direct conversation from the author to their own soul.
So we're like getting this insider view into someone's personal spiritual journey.
Exactly, yeah. And woven throughout the text are all these beautiful Arabic phrases that add another layer of meaning. But don't worry, we'll unpack all that together as we go.
Okay, let's do it. So the first word is Bismillah, which means in the name of Allah. I've definitely heard it before, but to be honest, I don't think I fully grasp its significance.
Well, it's actually foundational in Islam. You can think of it as a universal declaration of dependence on a higher power, like acknowledging that we don't do anything solely on our own strength.
So it's about humility, about recognizing there's a force greater than ourselves.
Yes, exactly. And the text illustrates this beautifully with a parable about a desert traveler. One traveler seeks protection by invoking the name of a powerful tribal chief, while the other, kind of full of pride, goes it alone. And their journeys are completely different. The one who sought protection travels with safety and ease, while the other one faces constant danger and hardship.
So applying that parable to our own lives, think about how often we face our own deserts. Tough decisions, uncertainty, those moments where we feel totally alone. Saying Bismillah in those moments is like invoking that spiritual protection, right? It's like a reminder that we're not alone in those challenges.
Exactly. It's powerful when you think about it that way. And invoking Bismillah aligns us with that ultimate source of strength and guidance. It allows us to act with more confidence and courage, knowing we're not facing our struggles alone.
I love that. But what I find really interesting is this idea that the text puts forward, that all beings are constantly saying Bismillah through their very actions, even if they don't speak the words.
It's a beautiful insight, isn't it? Just think about it. Trees bear fruit, gardens provide sustenance, animals give milk. These are all acts of reliance on a divine source, like a silent Bismillah whispered through their existence.
Oh, okay. So it's like they're intuitively aligned with that divine flow. And the text uses some amazing imagery to illustrate this point. It talks about roots effortlessly pushing through hard ground, like the staff of Moses splitting the rock, or delicate leaves enduring intense heat, like Abraham standing strong in the face of fire.
Those are such powerful images. They really drive home the point that even seemingly impossible things become possible when we align ourselves with that divine intention, don't they? But there's this interesting twist. The text says that this abundance, these gifts, they're not free. There's a payment required.
Wait a minute, a payment? Like we have to literally pay for these blessings. I'm kind of confused.
It's not about literal payment. No, it's more about cultivating a certain state of awareness. And it involves 3 things: dhikr, shukr, and fikr. Dhikr is like a constant remembrance of the divine, keeping that connection alive in our hearts and minds. Shukr is all about genuine gratitude for every blessing, no matter how small. And fikr is about deep reflection, pondering the wonders of creation.
So it's this continuous cycle of awareness, gratitude, and contemplation. It's how we honor the source of those blessings, right?
Precisely. It's about recognizing that everything we have is a gift. We give in Allah's name, take in Allah's name, begin in Allah's name, and work in Allah's name.
But what about when we forget that source? I mean, life gets busy. It's easy to lose sight of that deeper connection.
You're absolutely right. And the text actually warns against this. It uses a very powerful analogy. It says, it's like praising the gift bearer while ignoring the king. Like valuing those earthly benefactors over the true giver.
That's a striking image. It really makes you think.
Yeah.
So starting everything with Bismillah isn't just a ritual. It's about aligning ourselves with that divine purpose, acknowledging the source, and remembering it throughout our day. But how do we keep that awareness from becoming mechanical, just another routine?
That's a great question. And that leads us perfectly into the next section, where the text delves into the mysteries of Bismillah, these deeper layers of spiritual meaning embedded within this seemingly simple phrase.
Mysteries. Okay, now you've really got me hooked. Before we jump into that, I just want to pause for a second and let all of this sink in for our listeners. Imagine facing your own desert, a challenge, a difficult decision, and saying Bismillah as a way of invoking that spiritual strength and protection. It's a powerful practice. I think it's something we can all benefit from.
I completely agree. And what's so beautiful is that it's accessible to everyone. You don't need any special training or knowledge, just cultivating that awareness and intention.
Okay, I am ready to hear about those mysteries. What's the first one all about?
The first one is called the Three Stamps of Divine Lordship. It's a way of understanding the interconnectedness of everything, from the vast universe down to our own individual lives.
All right, let's dive in.
So imagine three stamps, right? Each one nested inside the other, and each one representing like a different level of divine order. And the greatest stamp that's visible in the harmony and balance of the whole universe, like all of creation working together, supporting each other in this like grand cosmic dance.
Yeah, that's a beautiful image. So it's like seeing the divine reflected in the overall interconnectedness of everything.
Exactly. And then there's the great stamp, which is more about what we observe here on Earth, right? The way nature is just so perfectly designed, how life flourishes and sustains itself. It's that order and balance we see in the natural world.
So the greatest stamp, that's cosmic harmony, and the great stamp, that's the divine reflected in nature. What about the third stamp?
Okay, so the supreme stamp is, well, it's maybe the most subtle one. It's about those qualities, like compassion, mercy, love that we see reflected in humanity, like a glimpse of the divine within us, the aspects that make us uniquely human, created in God's image.
Okay, I see. So Bismillah connects all three of these stamps together.
Exactly. It's this incredible thread that links the cosmic to the earthly, the divine to the human. It's a pathway for us to ascend toward our creator, starting from right here, our experiences on earth. And this whole idea of interconnectedness, it's really key to understanding the text. It's like the author really wants us to see the divine reflected in everything around us.
Which makes the idea of divine unity a little easier to wrap your head around, right?
Yeah.
Because when you look at the sheer diversity of creation, it's easy to wonder, how can this all come from a single source?
You're right. That's actually what the second mystery is all about. It's that challenge of comprehending divine unity in the middle of all this seeming endless multiplicity. And the author uses a really helpful analogy here to explain this: the sun.
Okay, how does the sun help us understand this?
So just like the sun illuminates all these countless objects with its light, right? We need to cultivate this broader perspective to perceive the essence of the divine within all of creation. Think of it like this. Each object reflects the sun's light differently, but they're all being lit up by the same source.
So even though creation seems so diverse, it's all emanating from that single divine source, like rays of light from the sun.
Precisely. And just like the sun's 7 colors, right? They encompass all things facing it. The divine oneness, it manifests through all his names, each one encompassing all beings. And to prevent our minds from being totally overwhelmed by this vastness, right? And keep our hearts focused on that essential unity, the text highlights Bismillah as a constant reminder.
So it's like an anchor, grounding us in that truth of divine oneness amidst all this diversity.
Exactly. It's like a guiding principle that helps us navigate this whole complex interplay of oneness and diversity.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, the third mystery focuses on this idea of mercy as the essence of the universe. I really connect with this. The idea that mercy isn't just an attribute of God, it's woven into the fabric of existence itself.
It is powerful, isn't it? The text poses this question. It says, what brings joy, light, and sustenance to this vast universe? And the answer is definitively divine mercy, right? It's the force that illuminates, nourishes, and brings meaning to everything.
It's like the universe is designed to support life.
Yeah.
To shower us with blessings. And that in itself, that's an expression of mercy.
Exactly. Think about all the ways that we're provided for, right? The intricate systems that sustain life, the beauty that surrounds us. It's hard to deny the presence of this caring, compassionate force at work.
It kind of makes you wonder, the text challenges us to consider, could a being who provides for all of our needs possibly be unaware of our existence?
That's a powerful question. And it really invites us to acknowledge that depth of divine care and respond with gratitude.
So saying Bismillah isn't just about seeking protection or acknowledging divine unity. It's also about tapping into this wellspring of mercy, this infinite source of love and compassion that's in everything. But if mercy is everywhere, then why do we still struggle? Why do we experience hardship and suffering?
Well, that's where our own choices and actions come into play, right? The text isn't suggesting that life is always going to be easy, but that even in those difficult moments, we're surrounded by this divine mercy. It's a source of strength and solace that we can draw on.
Yeah. This is starting to paint like a very different picture of Bismillah for me. It's not just a phrase you say out of habit. It's like this key that unlocks this whole new way of seeing the world, of understanding our place in it, right?
Right.
It's about aligning ourselves with that flow of mercy and like letting it guide our actions and shape our experiences.
Beautifully said. And that brings us to the fourth mystery, which deals with this idea of finding the seal of divine oneness, that deep, like undeniable connection with the source of all things.
Okay, I'm ready to go even deeper. Tell me about this seal.
Okay, so it starts by suggesting that simply saying, I worship you, while important, isn't quite enough. Like,
Yeah.
we need to go beyond just words and find a way to really connect with that divine essence, to experience it in our hearts.
So how do we do that? How do we move beyond words to that deeper level of connection?
Well, the text emphasizes the importance of, like, seeking divine guidance, acknowledging our need for support, and saying, I worship you and I seek help from you. It's about recognizing our limitations and opening ourselves up to that divine assistance.
It's like recognizing that we can't do it all on our own. We need that connection to the divine to really navigate this, complex existence.
Exactly. And the Quran itself uses this really interesting technique to help us understand this. It like juxtaposes these grand cosmic events with these really tiny details, showing us that the divine is present in every single aspect of creation.
Yeah. Can you give me an example of that?
Sure. So when discussing the creation of the heavens and the earth, right, the Quran also mentions like the creation of human beings, their voices, their appearances, those subtle points of bounty and wisdom in their faces. It's about seeing the divine hand in everything, from the vastness of the universe to those intricate details of our being.
So it's like zooming in and zooming out, seeing the grand design alongside those tiny details and recognizing that it's all connected, all part of that divine oneness. Pretty
Wow.
mind-blowing when you think about it that way.
It is. And the text uses Bismillah as, well, like the beginning of the opening chapter of the Quran, Al-Fatiha, and a condensed version of the entire Quran itself to illustrate this truth. It's like saying Bismillah unlocks this deeper understanding of our connection with the divine.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we've gone from seeing Bismillah as a form of protection to recognizing divine unity, to tapping into that infinite mercy. And now we're seeing it as a key to unlock this deeper understanding of our connection to the divine. It's like each layer builds on the previous one, revealing more and more about this like simple yet profound phrase.
Exactly. And that journey of discovery continues with the fifth mystery, which delves into this concept of humanity being created in the image of the most merciful. This is a topic that often causes a lot of confusion, so I'm curious to hear how the text clarifies this.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's explore this fifth mystery and see what insights we can uncover. So this whole concept of humans being made in God's image, it's always been a bit of a head scratcher for me.
Yeah, I get that. It's one of those things that's often misunderstood. But what the text does right off the bat is, it emphasizes that God is completely transcendent, like beyond any form or comparison that we can even imagine. He's not like anything we know.
So if that's the case, how can we even talk about being made in his image? It seems kind of contradictory.
That's where this text gets really insightful. It clarifies that, we're not talking about a literal physical resemblance. I mean, we can't even comprehend God's essence, so how could we possibly look like him? Instead, it's more about reflecting God's qualities, his attributes, his ways of being.
Oh, okay. So it's less about appearance and more about like embodying those divine characteristics.
Exactly. It's like, okay, imagine a mirror reflecting the sun. The mirror doesn't become the sun, but it shows the sun's light, its warmth, even its power in a way that we can actually experience. We humans, we're kind of like that mirror. We reflect those divine aspects.
Mhm. I love that analogy. So it's like we each have the potential to reflect those qualities.
Mhm.
Compassion, mercy, wisdom,
Yeah.
all the things we associate with the divine.
Yeah, exactly. And the text actually points to the name Rahan, which means like the most merciful, as a really powerful example. Just like this name is expressed throughout the universe in countless ways, it also shines through in our own, spiritual nature as human beings.
So we become like these like many examples of that all-encompassing mercy, each expressing it in our own unique way.
Exactly. It's a pretty humbling thought when you realize, like, wow, we have that capacity within us. And there's even this beautiful prayer in this section where the author asks God to like help us understand the secrets of Bismillah and to grant us mercy that, reflects his own infinite mercifulness.
It's like even just seeking that deeper understanding is in itself an act of drawing closer to the divine. And this leads us perfectly into the sixth complex mystery, right?
Yeah.
It's about mercy being the path to actually experiencing God's presence.
It is. The text gets really like direct here. It reminds us of, how limited we are, our weakness, our neediness compared to the vastness of, the divine. It even compares us to like travelers lost in the desert, desperate for
So
guidance.
we're like utterly dependent on that divine mercy, even to find our way.
That's the idea. The text says that, we can't approach God's essence directly, just like we can't physically reach the sun, right? But just as the sun's light and warmth reach us, divine mercy, it acts as that bridge. It allows God's presence to be felt in our lives.
It's like we need that mercy to even perceive the divine. Like it's the lens through which we see it.
Exactly. And this is where the Prophet Muhammad, he plays such a key role, which I thought was like really fascinating.
Oh yeah, tell me more.
So the text describes him as this like conduit for divine mercy. It calls him a mercy to all the worlds, just like it says in the Quran. He's like the gateway to that, treasury of mercy we've been talking about.
So by connecting to the prophet, we open ourselves up to receiving even more of that divine mercy.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the ways that we can do that is through the practice of like sending blessings upon the prophet, which is called salawat. It's a beautiful practice that like softens our hearts and allows that mercy to, flow more freely.
It's like, wow, we've been given these keys to unlock this incredible treasure. Okay, so let me see if I've got this straight. We've got the prophet Muhammad. He's like the gatekeeper. Bismillah is that first key. And salawat, that's like the easiest key to use, the one that's always within reach.
That's a perfect summary. It really shows how interconnected all these concepts are, right? They all work together to deepen our understanding and experience of, divine mercy.
This has been such an incredible deep dive. We went from seeing Bismillah as this like simple phrase to understanding it as this profound principle for living, a key to unlocking so much spiritual depth. What's like resonating most with you as we wrap up?
Honestly, for me, it's just like how empowering this text is. It doesn't just present these like lofty spiritual ideas. It gives us these practical tools that we can actually use to experience them. Saying Bismillah, reflecting on God's qualities, sending blessings on the prophet. These are things we can all do like right now to connect more deeply with the divine.
I'm right there with you. It's not about passive belief. It's about active participation. And to everyone listening, as you're navigating your own deserts of daily life, I really hope this deep dive is giving you like a new perspective on the power of Bismillah. It's not just a ritual, it's a doorway to a more meaningful, connected, and merciful way of being. As you go about your day, just ask yourself, how can I bring the power of Bismillah into my life? What deserts do I need to cross? And how can that awareness of the divine help me get through them?
And maybe even reflect on this. What are some specific ways that you can express dhikr, shukr, and fikr in this very moment? How can you weave those qualities of remembrance, gratitude, and contemplation into your everyday life?